Here we go again, keeping up with the comics. Today, we are keeping up with Chariot, number 1, Seven Secrets, number 2, and Miles Morales' Spider-Man, number 24. Let's go. So the first book we're keeping up with today is Chariot, number 1, written by Brian Edward Hill. And Chariot is basically a story, or at least starts off as a story, about a guy down in his luck who runs into a car very similar to Kit from Knight Rider. And that's kind of the first thing that drew me to this book. So as we open up the book, you can see there's some sort of confrontation, some sort of a firefight going on. And I thought the book was set, or at least started in an earlier time, a World War II-ish, Vietnam time. That's the impression I got. Maybe I heard wrong from elsewhere. But the cars in this book, not just the main character car, if you want to put it that way, but the drivers of the shooters also look like they have pretty recent cars, pretty new cars. But this car basically gets shot down and ends up in the bottom of the ocean, where it stays for a little while. And then we catch up with our main character, which is Jim. And basically Jim is an ex-con, had been a great guy, not a great father, not a great husband. And the book really sets the stakes pretty high off the bat, because his son is sick, some kind of kidney failure, I think. And so he knows he's gonna need extra money for expenses insurance doesn't cover. I'm guessing they don't have Affleck in this book. But he's thinking about getting back into the life, being a wheelman for some goons who he already owes money to. And so that's another backdrop of the story, is that he's already in deep with the mob, you may as well say. And so later on, the goons basically catch up to him at the garage where he's working on this mysterious car. They really don't show where he gets the car from. He kind of has it already in the story. And I'm pretty sure we'll get some backdrop later on. But he's working on this mysterious car. The goons catch up with him. And then the car comes to life. And the goons aren't happy. And we're going to leave it right there, because I want you to check this book out. There are a couple of things that happen towards the end of the book. A question that gets posed, and we'll see how this relationship between the car and Jim, I'm hoping the car gets a name, but we'll see how the relationship between the car and Jim progresses as we move forward. But Chariot number 1 was a good start to this story. As I said, I always try to pick up Brian Edward Hill books, and I'm a sucker for Knight Rider, and I've got the best of both worlds. You should check it out. The next book we're keeping up with today is Seven Secrets, number 2. We covered Seven Secrets number 1 on my first indie version of Keeping Up with the Comics. And as we know, Seven Secrets starts off about a kid named Casper who is born by these two holders and keepers of one of the secrets that aren't supposed to have a child. So they have to give this child up in order to stay in the order of the Seven Secrets, and in order to keep doing what they're doing, which is really, really painful for these two, Eva and Sigurd. And of course, there's Casper, which is really painful for these two, because no one wants to give up their child, but they know that the job that they're doing is important to the world and important to peace. So they have to give up their child in the first issue. So we start off the second issue with Tajana, I believe, and Kanto, basically talking about the prospect of handing off Casper as a baby to another holder and keeper to basically take to some kind of headquarters for the Order of the Seven Secrets to be raised there as part of the order. And, you know, he grows up pretty quick. They say he's pretty fast in the uptake. And as he gets older, he trains with the order to basically become part of them. And also just to be raised right. Just have people who love you and people who care about you. They don't want to throw him out to the wolves. Just let anybody adopt them. They want to do right by him and his parents, even though the order itself has a greater mission. Also, we get introduced to him in school, and that proposes a challenge because there is a bully there, and the bully kind of makes his life a little hard until a certain point. And then later on in the book, we get what I've been looking for, which is the meeting of Eva and Casper, and eventually Sigurd and Casper. And the meeting between these three characters is kind of heartfelt because, as I said before, they had to, as a baby, basically let the order adopt him. They couldn't get close to him. Even now, they're training him and they're bringing him up as a member of the order, but they can't bring him up as a son. And I kind of feel it. I kind of understand what Casper's feeling, what he's going through, and also what the parents are going through. But it's a really good book, really good issue to get you kind of further into the order. It introduces a few new characters in the orders, introduces you to a couple of more pairs of holders and keepers for the secrets, and lets you in on what motivates Casper to do what he does. As I said, Seven Secrets is a good book, a book I plan on seeing through to the end. Tom Taylor is, of course, a great writer. Most of you know that. And he knows how to bring the emotion as well as the action. And so I'm going to keep checking it out, and I hope you do too. So the last book we are keeping up with today is Miles Morales, number 24. Of course, we are one issue away from the start of the Clone Saga. And to be honest, some of this threw me off a little bit because, like in other books, the King in Black is not over with. But this book here is post King in Black. Miles Morales issue number 23 was a King in Black tie-in that left off with Miles being unconscious in a fight to try and save Kamala Khan from the symbiote that had taken him over. And you don't get to see the aftermath of that because King in Black is now over and we are past it. But we open up with Miles talking into his journal again, and I swear this journal is going to get him in trouble. But we have Miles basically catching up with Kamala Khan post King in Black and post Outlawed, to do a little catching up, do a little friend stuff. They're kind of best friends in that way, and eventually they decide they're gonna play a game of hoops because Miles inferred that Kamala Khan couldn't handle them on the court, and she wasn't having it. So they play a game of basketball until they get a distress call from a lady and her child who are trapped in a building that's basically collapsed somewhat. And the funny thing is that when they go and they rescue this lady, they find out that the owner of the building is basically cheap and not keeping the building up, and is a hazard because the building hasn't had any kind of maintenance done to it. And they catch up with the owner, and Miles is kind of aggressive towards the owner of this building. Dare I say, Miles was probably going to hurt him until Kamala stepped in, which I think is a little out of character for Miles, but there may be a reason. But after Kamala stops him, they kind of, talk to him, and he agrees that he's going to put more money into the building and keep it safe for the tenants. And then they go off and they basically have ice cream. And then they get home. Well, Miles gets home, and his parents are elated to see him because of something they saw on the news, something that happened as it relates to Miles Morales. If you know what's coming up, you probably know what kind of news they got and what Miles has to look forward to. Again, I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is. I want you to pick it up. It was kind of a quick read leading into the Clone Saga, and I am excited for my first Clone Saga. I know a lot of longtime readers read the first Clone Saga, first two Clone Sagas, however many Clone Sagas there were. But this is my first shot at it, and I don't think that Saladin Ahmed is going to mess it up or drag it out or any of those other fears that people have about the Clone Saga. I'm excited. Hope you're excited too. So that was Keeping Up with the Comics. We had a couple of indie books, a new title, and a new phase to Miles Morales' life in Miles Morales Spider-Man. I hope you saw something you liked. I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you did enjoy yourself, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to keep up with me, Keeping Up with the Comics, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, do all those good YouTube things. And of course, always feel free to leave comments. I may have left something out. I may have forgot something. I may need more context, or you just may want to interact. All those things are good with me. But as always, love yourself, love others, and I will be back in a flash.